I get it for sure. Hello, hello, and happy Monday. Welcome to our Lunch and Learn with Purse Strings on that we have every Monday. Um, if you are new here, Purse Strings is all about providing financial education, tips, tricks, some know-how to our communities of women. And then when you're ready to, get your will, plan for retirement, get a divorce, get married, have kids, we have financial professionals who are willing, ready, and able to help you out and be financially fearless. We call those professionals our Purse Strings approved professionals. And we have the ladies-in-law who are two of our Purse Strings approved professionals with us today. So before we dive in about protecting our legacy, will you guys give a little intro of who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So we are the co-founders, Ameena, Sheikh here, and Jazzy, Rippy. And as Maggie was saying, we are co-founders and owners of Ladies in Law. And what Ladies in Law is, it's a law firm that specializes specifically and only in estate planning, which we call legacy planning. Everyone has a legacy that needs to be protected, preserved, controlled for themselves, their loved ones. And we've decided that that's all we're going to focus on and be the best at it. So that's what we do at Ladies in Law.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you on today and talk about protecting your legacy because we think this is one of the most important topics for everyone to really be on their financial path. And sometimes you don't always think it's financial, but it all ties together. So we'll just start at the beginning. What is legacy planning?
So legacy planning is typically called estate planning, which involves the creation of a series of documents. So you have a will, you have a trust, you have powers of attorney, and these documents are meant to provide you legal protections while you're alive over your finances, your medical decisions, your children, and even after you die, what's going to happen to your property, who's going to be the guardian of your minor children, what's going to happen to your businesses and your retirement accounts, all of that. A legacy plan is just like your legal instruction manual for what's going to happen to all that.
I love it. Yeah, we got to tell everybody, what we want our plans to be and where to go. And I kind of like how you use it, legacy planning versus estate planning, because I think a lot of people with estate planning think, well, I need an estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that's part of our mission, is to make this legacy planning, estate planning, legal sector much more accessible to people. And what we've done is we've streamlined the process. We're educating people on what these documents are and why everyone has a legacy to protect, as well as lowering our prices to make it attainable for much more people.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And so how is, legacy planning a financial tool?
Yeah, I think the best way to put it, and I want Jazzy to take this because she came up with this analogy. It's called our house analogy, and it'll explain how it's a financial tool pretty quickly.
Okay. So if you think about each one of your assets as a piece of furniture in a house, so you can think of, I might have a business, I have a 401k, I have an IRA, I have a car, I have houses, different assets to my name. All of these are different pieces of furniture, but the legacy plan itself is the actual house. It's the house that's going to protect the furniture from the elements, from outside people trying to come in. It allows you to designate which rooms those pieces of furniture go in and who has access to those rooms. So that's how we like to describe legacy planning in relation to financial planning.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah. And you have to have all those things protected and, not just out there. Otherwise, everything's just, that whole couch that you earned and tried to buy now is just wet and sopping in the rain.
Yep. Or somebody came and stole it.
And steal it from you.
And that's not really what you are looking for. Right. You worked hard for that. And so you want to keep that and pass that down if you can.
Absolutely.
And how we originally came up with this, which one of the assets I forgot to mention was life insurance. So we were trying to find a way to tie life insurance and legacy planning together, because a lot of people understand what life insurance is, and a lot of people have life insurance policies. It's pretty much become commonplace over the past 10 years. So what we're trying to do is normalize legacy planning in the scope of life insurance, which is something that they already understand. So a life insurance policy would be like a piece of furniture, but our legacy plan is protecting those proceeds.
Yes, making sure that those proceeds go to the right people and in the way you want them. So an easy example is you have a minor child. something happens. So your 10-year-old child is supposed to just get handed those proceeds from your life insurance policy. Well, that's not going to happen. It's going to go to a guardian who's then going to manage that money. And if you don't have a legacy plan, you're not deciding who that guardian is, and you're not ensuring that the money goes to the child in the way you would want it to go. So a legacy plan with a will, a trust in it, that's going to ensure that piece of furniture is properly used for your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, when you're 10, you can't just take all that money and
exactly
expect someone to use it properly, much less like know how to use money.
Right.
And so why do you think it's so important for women to have a legacy plan?
We think it's very important because a lot of women have become more financially free. I would say over the past 20, 30 years, a lot of women are making more money. They have businesses, they have assets, they're making financial decisions. So it's important that they have the legacy plan to protect everything that they've worked so hard to attain.
Not only that, women are the caretakers. That's what we are. As successful as you are in your career, we have women always coming because they're the caretaker. They're the one that's going to say, I gave birth to this child. I really want to make sure things are set in stone. And women tend to be very proactive. And that's very important with financial planning. And as we've said now, legacy planning is the protector of all of your financial planning. So for women, our time is now. It's always been our time, but it truly is now to take a hold and control of what we are working so hard for, and not just ourselves. If you're married, you and your significant other, your partner, you're helping protect your siblings, your parents. Women, we can do it, and we should be doing it.
And so, let's say we kept putting off that legacy plan for tomorrow, for next week, for next month, for next year. What happens if, you do pass away and you don't have a legacy plan? I mean, what happens then?
So horror stories
your
happen.
Family is most likely going to end up in probate court, and the state decides who gets what. You have no control, and your family doesn't either. It's totally up to the state and how they say that it should be divvied up.
Yeah, I mean, we can give you some examples, real life case studies. One, while somebody was still alive but felt incapacitated, engaged, right? Had a child with the person they're engaged with. This is a man. He did not have a legacy plan in place. He had a medical issue come out and became unconscious, and he became unconscious. His fiance was blocked from even knowing his medical records or having access to any decision that was happening. Instead, his mother, who he was estranged from, came into town and started making all the decisions. And the only way that his fiance, who they'd been together for like a decade, had a child together, were planning the wedding, could potentially have a chance at making any decisions or paying bills that they shared together now because she's blocked out, was going to court and getting guardianship, which is a long, expensive, drawn out process. If they'd done a legacy plan prior to, it would have all been ease of transfer, and she would have been able to take care of everything as she already was with him and knew what he wanted. Another story is, you just see people go to court, and court's what we're avoiding. It's not a problem you want to find yourself in. You just don't want to. It takes years. It deplenishes relationships. The estate itself, it's financially exhausting, emotionally exhausting. Sometimes it's fine, but why go through it when you can completely
and we've seen family members in probate court get substantial sums of money that really weren't intended for them.
Yeah.
But the person who died failed to have a will or a trust, so they didn't have any say-so over what happened to their assets.
Yeah, so the state decided, and individuals that weren't intended, as Jazzy said, to get anything, lucked out, man. They're happy about that, but that's not what the person who worked so hard for all of these assets and this legacy to be built wanted to have happen.
And someone jumping in the comments said, it's so expensive if you don't have these documents in place, which is so true. And it's sometimes they're expensive to get, but it's like it's cheaper than all the pain and the actual finances if you don't have them, because we all know that court is slow and expensive.
It is,
is.
and probate attorneys are expensive. When we used to do probate cases, our hourly fee was $300 an hour. It required a $3,000 retainer up front.
On top of the hourly
you can get a
fee.
legacy plan with us for under $1,500.
Yeah.
So it's
with the trust,
with the trust and
To
your
avoid
powers of
court.
attorney and your will, everything. So it's a lot cheaper, especially with our pricing system, to just go ahead and get the legacy plan done.
Yeah, and then you have peace of mind.
Yeah. And so, when is the best time, like age, for someone to do this? Is it, when you start having kids and having a family, or should you do it prior? What do you recommend?
So we get this question a lot. It's a
Mhm.
great question. And it isn't a specific age. It is actually life stages, life events that happen. So maybe you are 22 and you're starting a family. Yeah, you need to go get a legacy plan. However, that legacy plan might be tailor-made for you at that life stage, may be different than, let's say, the 55, 60, 65-year-old that's retiring. And that's another life stage. It's like, yeah, you need to get this done if you haven't done it before. Or maybe someone's inheriting some money or starting a new business that they really want to protect. Or they're just like, hey,
they're buying a home.
They're buying a home. Or, hey, I'm a single person. I don't want the court or hospital just picking a family member of mine to decide who's going to make medical decisions for me if something happens. I just want to be proactive and ensure that I have that. So maybe they're not starting a family or inheriting or things, but they still want to have that control. It's really a stage of life you're in and what event is happening. So there could be several life events triggering this should have been done. And it's not a specific age. No.
And then it seems like that it's something that you want to come back during, like if you start it and you have one during these next stages, you want to come back to make sure, we've heard stories of people who go through divorce and still their exes are on everything.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
Everything up to date.
Yeah, you want to keep it. We say any life change that happens after you got to keep it up to date. At a minimum, every 2 years, look over those documents. It could be something so small as you've listed somebody in it and they've moved. So you need to update their address because you want to have up-to-date information. And so what we've actually done at Ladies in Law, the problem we've run into is a lot of clients, they forget, or they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to pay an hourly rate for an attorney to go and make these changes. And I can't spend that money. It's really frustrating. We've actually come up with a maintenance program. And we have 3 tiers, and it's $50 for a year, $75 a year, or $125 a year. And between those 3 tiers, you're able to make the changes you need to make in a year and have a meeting with us and potentially even execute your documents again for that flat yearly rate. So less than $3 we're starting at. And every quarter we follow up with you with a phone call and an email like, hey, you have this maintenance plan. Anything changed? Anything going on? You want to use this? So not only are we ensuring our clients are meeting their needs, we're reminding them, but we're also following our goal and intention of not solving problems, but actually avoiding them. Ensuring that, we don't have that horror story 10 years later, 20 years later, the person's on their deathbed, like, I need to change these. The total wrong people are in there, and then
it's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah. I love how you help them be proactive about this as well.
Yeah.
And so if someone was, saw this and were like, yep, now I need to start my legacy plan, what would kind of be the first couple steps?
So we offer a free consultation. Most of them are via Zoom, but we do in phone or in our office. And we just have a series of questions that we ask you to get a better understanding of your background and your legacy, what we're working with. And then we'll suggest the documents that we feel are best fit for you. And our whole process is very streamlined. So after we finish the consultation, we send you an email with more information because a lot of times people have follow-up questions. So we have an FAQ document attached to that email. You can sign up our client services agreement via DocuSign, via the email. You can pay online. So everything is very streamlined with us. And then once we receive the payment, we turn around right away and send you another email with 2 forms that we need you all to fill out that provides us all the information that we need to create your legacy plan. So we'll ask you, what assets do you have? Do you have bank accounts? Do you have life insurance? Do you have businesses? Do you have homes? Who are these properties supposed to go to? Do you want to place restrictions on your children receiving property until they're a certain age? What if someone that you've designated property to dies before you? What's the backup contingency going to be? So we ask all of these very detailed questions, and they allow us to prepare a very robust and comprehensive legacy plan.
Yeah, and even after you filled out those documents, we have more meetings with you if needed to ensure that any questions or confusions you have, as well as we usually do have several questions and clarifications that need to be made. And we make sure those are taken care of before drafting the documents. So we take that step by step. And like Jazzy said, very linear process. Our goal is to not complicate, to not stress a person out. It's the opposite. We want you to feel like, wow, okay, oh, now I just do the next step. Now I just do the next step. And we do it all virtually if someone wants. They never have to leave the comfort of their home.
It sounds painless. There's no reason not to get started. There's an email at the bottom of the screen. Just shoot it that way and get the process started. Because you never know, as sad as it is, when your last day might be. So you always want to be, proactive. So your family doesn't have to be reactive.
Yeah, that's exactly worded. I mean, yeah. Ooh, we feel so bad when we see people come in and they're just like, wait, now I have to go to court. And we're like, yeah.
Or they wait till maybe the person hasn't died, but they've had a bad stroke or a heart attack, and they need someone to come in and help make medical decisions for them, but they don't have a medical power of attorney. So at that point, if the person is mentally not there, we can't do anything. They have to go to probate court and seek guardianship. So it's not just about, when's my last day? It's like, I don't know what's going to happen to me while I'm alive. If I'm going to get in a car accident, if I'm going to have a stroke or have some type of serious medical condition that prevents me from being able to handle my medical decisions or even handle my financial affairs.
Yeah. Well, this has been a ton of great information. I feel like today, just get those basics, understand why this is so important. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you want to make sure is shared today?
Gosh, I think your questions were excellent, Maggie. Very pointed. I think Purse Strings just totally understands where we're coming from and our ideologies line up. I mean, we really just want to help women, men, everybody continue their legacy. This is how you build generational wealth. This is how you help your children or whoever you want, charities, whatever you choose. It's you leaving your mark, and everyone deserves that opportunity. And at Ladies-in-Law, we're making it accessible so that everyone does have that opportunity. So, yeah.
And one thing I did want to share that, so that people understand that this is very personal to us and we're very passionate about it. Ameena is her father's power of attorney.
I am.
You want to share a little bit about that?
On a daily basis, reminded how important this is, both professionally and personally. My father, he had a stroke 5 years ago. My parents were divorced, so he's a single man, right? He was a very successful physician, had accumulated all sorts of assets, never listened to me about doing this legacy planning, thought he couldn't be touched, and then he had the stroke. Mentally, my dad's there. Physically, no. He has to be taken care of full around the clock. Fortunately, because he was still competent and is competent, we were able to execute powers of attorney documents. If I did not have those documents in place, I don't know what would happen. He had several rental properties. No one would be able to go in and manage them. Instead, the government would essentially end up taking them, the state, because the proper bills wouldn't be paid. People think, I can go pay bills for someone. Well, you can't deal with their financial institutions. You can't deal with Medicare, Social Security. A nursing home will not speak to you. Doctors will not speak to you. And so it is just an everyday thing I live with. And yes, my dad was a very well-off man, But because he did not do this combination of financial planning and legacy planning, we are bleeding his money out because there were ways, obviously, we know, and I would have loved to have done from that. We could have shielded a lot of his income and assets so that there would continue on to us children. There's going to be nothing left. It's out of pocket. You have to pay. That's just how our system works in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it. I didn't because I knew it doing this, but to live it, it's frustrating. That's the easiest way I can put it. To know that there were so many ways we could have secured everything in a way that he would feel better and overall, and everyone would feel better.
And it seems like, I mean, you're blessed enough that he had his mental capacity to then do this paperwork.
Yes.
But it's
Otherwise, they would have been in court fighting. He has 11 kids.
My dad has 11 children. So, and no doubt, because he refused to set up a trust, I will be dealing with it in probate court after, which is just so, it's comedic, right? That this is what I do, and that's what I'm going to be dealing with. But 11 children from different wives. So it's not a situation where we're all kumbaya.
Right.
And I can't, and he would have been sitting while that court proceeding would have been going on, just figuring out guardianship during COVID, mind you. This was all during COVID. Sitting in wherever the hospital chose to send him, and they tried to send him to a nursing home that I don't wish my worst enemy to go live in. But that's what they could do. If I wasn't empowered to step in and say, I don't think so. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that story because sometimes it's, the kick in the butt we need to really connect and to see that going on. And somebody said, the swell of the baby boomers is aging. They need their affairs
that's
sorted.
what Jazzy always says.
Yeah, we have statistics on the millions of baby boomers that are retiring each year, and they need legacy plans.
Terribly. Yeah. They probably needed them,
a while ago.
But definitely now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys have provided some great information today. So like I said, they are approved Purse Strings approved professionals. So their email's been going through the bottom. Feel free to email them if you have any questions or are ready to get started. They're on our website, pursestrings.co. Just search for Ladies in Law, and you can find them. So please don't wait on this. There's no better time than today to get started. And until then, we will see you next week. So thank you again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.